size, and I learned this from Tom Moore. Tom Moore did this as a play caller. You talk about a guy who called a lot of plays, did for a long time at a really high level for some great players and some great teams. Every Saturday when he was in the hotel, he would watch college games, and he would go through his calls as the situations arose. So we've got mountains of video. We certainly have a lot of TV copies on video, and just going through those is very helpful. The situations come up organically and the way they would within the flow of the game. The hashes change, penalties occur, sudden changes, all those things. So you're just trying to process all those things and then go through the exercise of actually calling the game in our language.
Are you on the field, and is Ken in the booth? Is that how that's going to work?
Well, we're just trying to work through that, and I think there's some real positives to either side. If you're in the booth, it's a more surgical approach, a little bit less emotion is involved.
Right.
If you're on the field, you get a pretty good pulse on the game and a good feel for it, and that's where I prefer to be as a coach. I prefer to be there as a play caller, but I'm open to both. I think what we need to do is figure out what's best for the team, and that's me being in a position to make calls without being overcome by emotion. And if I can't do that on the field, then I'll move upstairs right away.
Could you see a situation where two quarterbacks playing a game?
Sure, yeah. If one guy gets hurt, the next guy will.
But without injuries, could you see that?
Yeah, I'm not ready to rule that out. I don't think we can ever rule that out. I would be irresponsible to sit here and tell you something's never going to happen, right? But I can tell you this, we would prefer not to do that. I don't think a platoon quarterback system is really good for a football team. We've had some experience with that in the past, and I can't think of any example for us where it's been a real beneficial thing, or we've reached a consensus doing it. So we prefer not to do that. But again, Pat, I wish I could tell you something that'll never happen. I've learned enough now to not make proclamations like that.
Because it could be a case where you don't know until you see him out there on the field.
Could be a little bit. We went through that with CJ to some extent. CJ never really won the job. CJ never really won that competition as clean as you would have liked. But eventually we had to do what we thought was best for the football team. And that was to push him ahead. And, I thought Jake handled it extremely well. I'm very happy for his success, as CJ's. Worked out for all parties involved. But at the end of the day, we have to do what we think is best for our football team.
One thing I think is really interesting is you guys have to be confident and secure in your positions. I mean, you were an offensive line coach, now Polisek's an offensive line coach with a storied tradition at that position. He also was an offensive coordinator. Ken was an offensive coordinator, and you all have to work together. How does that help you as an offensive coordinator, and how does that help the staff just because everybody's been in similar situations before?
Sure. Well, you got resources, and I'll be remiss not to mention Kelton or LeVar, right, or the head coach who's seen a lot of football.
Right.
You got guys on the defensive side of the ball with great experiences. We're all there for each other as resources, and really we're trying to make decisions and do things for the team as a group, and you got to have a consensus. But to have guys that have experienced what I'm experiencing, what a tremendous resource. Tim's done it at a really high level. With a philosophy very similar to what we're doing. Maybe necessarily the schematics not quite the same, but philosophically really close. Ken did it here as well as anybody, and was a part of a lot of success, and certainly understands the inherent challenges and things that come up when you're coaching for Iowa. So great resources. But at the end of the day, you bring up, there's got to be some comfort, and what it really comes down to is we all have a role. We all have a job to do. It's the same thing we ask of our players. Just do your job as well as you can. Try to help the team win. Do everything within your power to handle the things that are your responsibility on your plate. Do them as well as you can, and push the thing forward.
Could you